Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Tanya Gossage with Gossage Performance Consulting, and with me I have Nick Kobzar with Level Up Consulting. Hello, Nick. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Tanya. Great to see you again.
Good. Thank you. So today we are going to be talking about the 10 biggest follow-up mistakes. And before we get into this content, I want to let you know that if you want a copy of this ebook, all you need to do is drop ebook in the comments and we will get you a copy of that, either myself or my team. Also, part of the reason we wanted to discuss follow-up is, as Grant would say, it is the holy grail to sales. And you might even hear us say that one or two times throughout the presentation today or the training today. Nick and I are sponsoring, a 10X Business Boot Camp in 2 locations in mid-October. And I'm going to get my notes here because I've got to get the addresses correct. I do not have them memorized. So Saturday, October the 23rd in Fayetteville at the Hilton Garden Inn on 1325 North Palak Drive. And then Monday, October the 25th in Little Rock at the Chenal Event Venue, which is formerly Noah's Event Venue, and that's at 21 Rawling Circle. So we would love to invite you to one or the other of these events if you can come out and see us. Nick, do you want to talk about the ticket offers that we have?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 3 ticket offers. So if you want a solo ticket, we have that available for $397. We have a duo pack for $597, and then we have a 4-pack for a group for $997. Now, we have been approached by some larger groups. So if you have a group or a team that's larger than 4, just reach out to Tanya, myself, or anyone on the squad, and we'll definitely make arrangements. We do have larger packages available for those larger groups.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, we would love to see you at one of the 2 events. So with that, we're going to get right on into the content and discuss 10 biggest follow-up mistakes. And we're going to go ahead and start with Nick.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So we're going to do the 10 biggest mistakes for follow-up. So the number one reason why people fail and follow up, number one is just not making the call, guys. The number one reason you'll fail and follow up is not making the call. Okay, so all you have to do is make the call, and you'll actually be 48% ahead, okay, of all the people who don't, right? The fortune's in the follow-up. So just make the damn call, okay? I don't care what you say, just make the friggin' call. The more calls you make, the better off you are, okay? And it's not just one call. You need to do the number of calls. We're going to get into that a bit later on. So the more calls you make, the better off you're going to be. If they told you they're not going to be home today, call them. Right? They're out of town, give them a call. They're in a sales meeting, call them anyways. Okay. What I do, guys, is I tend to make my most difficult calls, the calls I'm scared of, the calls I'm resisting making first. The sooner I get them out of the way, the stronger I am the rest of the day. I make my most difficult. This is a pro tip. I make my difficult calls at the early part of the day, at the beginning. And then as I progress, they get easier. Okay. When you're spending time making reasons to make the call or not make the call, guys, you need to be unreasonable with yourself and just make the call. So greatness, it's not going to find you until you show up. Rule of success number 1, always show up. Okay. And creativity, it's not going to find you, okay, until you take action.
Okay, so the number 2 mistake in follow-up is just not making enough of those calls. So not enough contacts or calls frequency, the volume is the second most commonly mistake made in sales. 80% of those sales are made between the 5th and the 2nd contact. Many of you that have listened to all of our training sessions have heard me mention that before. And the average salesperson does not make enough calls. We might even be safe to say that many of us do not make enough follow-up calls. You need to make at least 5 requests to make the sale. If you're thinking that you're going to be 1, 2, 3, or even 4 calls, you're not going to make it. So for those of you that stop making calls after the 2nd call, you're not going to make it in business, regardless of what your business is. When you give up after the first few calls, again, you're not going to make it. You've got to keep pressing forward. You complain that nobody ever calls you back. Nobody picks up the phone. You just got to keep pressing in, guys. You've got to press in. You're not making enough calls. You're not sending enough emails. You're not sending enough texts. Nobody knows we exist. Like Nick just said, we've got to keep showing up. It's the same problem on social media. People don't know we exist. I'll be honest with you. I thought a lot of people in Arkansas knew who I was until I started working on our event. You have to make 5 to 12 calls, not one, not two. It's many follow-ups. We have to rise above the noise. We've got to keep up with Kim Kardashian and Cayenne, Nick. We got to keep up with what they're having for lunch. People have got to keep up with what we're doing every moment of the day. Not necessarily that we've got to post what we're having for lunch, but we got to rise above and let people know what we're doing in our businesses so that they know who we are and what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And just to echo what Tanya's saying, to piggyback on that, it takes a whole handful, a minimum 5 to 12 calls. So when you're doing your follow-up, a follow-up can be a text. It can be a video message. It can be an emoji, right? You can send somebody like a flag, an American flag emoji. Just know every time you have a contact with a client or a prospect, you're putting a deposit. You're planting a seed towards the 5th or the 12th. And if you don't make them, you're starting back at 0 again. Sometimes it doesn't just automatically happen on the 5th. It might happen on the 12th or the 13th or the 11th. Okay. It might not necessarily be 5 phone calls. Okay. So you remember 5 to 12, be creative, change up the message. Okay. And you need to do it on a regular basis. You can't just follow up with somebody once and expect that, hey, that's going to work. Okay. They have to be done on a regular basis. Randomness, like, a call now and then in another 30 days or 3 months from now. You need volume and you need frequency. Frequency comes before greatness. So it's like working out. You can work out once a week, but ain't nothing going to happen if you just work out once a week, right? Who cares? You need to do it frequently, consistently, on a regular basis to see the results.
I apologize, Nick. My screen's not wanting to forward the slide. Here we go.
That's okay. So
there we go.
Okay. So you know what? If you just do it occasionally, you're not going to get the results. Okay. You're just going to get pain and sore, like when it comes to working out. So the key is to work out every single day. And then you build that muscle, you build that discipline, you build a good habit. Okay. You're going to feel better about yourself taking some action than sitting there and doing nothing. Okay. It's also going to create self-esteem. You're going to get some confidence and you're going to be better off. Okay. So the same goes for follow-up, emails, contacts. They've got to be done regularly on a consistent basis. So mix up the variety. And when you call people back with regularity, you're going to start to build a persona in the marketplace that says, hey, I'm here. I exist. Tanya's here. Nick's here. Whoever you are, you're there. You're frequent. You're not going away. Okay. You become dependable, trustworthy, the go-to guy or girl. Become the contact that's going to turn into a contract. So with follow-up, you want to be the stream and not the rock. The stream, and we're not talking about Dwayne Johnson, okay? The stream will always defeat the rock. So you want to be persistent. You want to be consistent, okay? Just like a river, you want to be there long-term, okay? And if you're that stream and you stay present and you stay committed, eventually you will get the sale. The only way you won't get the sale is if you quit. If you quit on the follow-up, you quit on yourself and you quit on the client, okay? So don't do that. You always want to think of it in terms of being the stream, not the rock. And that's the key for follow-up.
The number 4 follow-up mistake is waiting too long to follow up. Waiting too long, major in that process. The speed at which you can operate will give you a tremendous amount of leverage in the marketplace. Follow up within the first 60 seconds increases your chance of conversion by 320%. As I just said, it brings certainty, it brings security. Speed says that you're the only one person. Don't wait too long to do your follow-up. I just mentioned that. If you don't have their number, find a way to follow up with them. If you know where they live, drive there and follow up with them. Waiting too long Don't do it to yourself, your customer, or even to your business. I'll mention there's a specific company that I work with that oftentimes while I'm on the phone with them, before I even hang up, they have already followed up with me, or I have a video from them.
Strong.
Those are the types of things that we need to do. I just did this training course, or did a training course on sales to a specific client. And I was telling them, this type of follow-up is going to increase your chances hugely. If you follow up within the first 5 to 10 minutes of hanging up the phone with them, you've got 900% chances. I'm sorry, it's 600% chances of getting another contact with that individual. So follow-up it brings so much security and certainty to what you're doing with that particular client or potential customer in the future. Follow-up, the holy grail.
Absolutely, right? And again, just to piggyback on what Tanya said, guys, follow up right away. There's so many ways that you can be creative with it. One method I use, I like to text somebody right away, take a selfie with them and say, hey, if you're with somebody, you meet them at a networking thing or at an event, or you're with a client or a prospect, take a selfie with them. Say, here, I'll text it to you. You get their number right away. I do it instantly. I follow up. If you can follow up when you're with the client, it seems very unusual, but it's very strong. It's very powerful. And then that's my tip number one. I already got the first one, and I don't have to worry about doing it. I'm already in communication with them. Okay, so I want to follow up ideally right away. And if I can't, within the first hour, just like Tanya said. Number 5 is lacking a variety of reasons to call. Okay, so a lot of people don't follow up because they're not sure. They're unsure of what to say. And what does most follow-up say? Hey, it's Nick, it's Tanya, just checking to see how things are. Then what? I'm just following up with you. Well, what changed? So lacking variety is a major reason why follow-up is going to fail. In a transaction, you just can't keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And then you become dependent on one mechanism. So you need a variety. Okay, so what are the varieties of ways you could do it? Well, I've already mentioned a few on this call. You can text, you can phone call. You can Facebook Messenger them. You can Instagram Messenger them. You can LinkedIn. The best way to follow up, or the best way to communicate with a client, is their preferred method of communication, not yours, the client's, whether that's email, Messenger, WhatsApp, any way, but mix it up. Okay. Send a video message, send an audio message, hit them with a handwritten note. There's so many ways, guys, okay, that you can follow up with clients. So when you lack a variety, it's going to be very repetitive. Okay, so you have to be willing to do the things that you don't want to do. I recently just sent out 10 handwritten notes. I went to the dollar store and I bought a bunch of thank you cards. That's one touch. It took me 20 minutes and a little bit of postage, but it's variety. So it's going to separate me in the marketplace. Did I want to do it? Not particularly. But when's the last time some of these clients got a handwritten note? Okay, so that's me being creative, using my creativity, right? So you got to be creative and do whatever it takes to get the job done. And don't get too comfortable or too familiar with the same old mechanisms. Add variety to your follow-up, and that way you'll be more engaged. And conversely, so will your clients and your prospects. So use the whole gamut. Use everything at your arsenal, guys. Use a text, email, handwritten notes, and the most valuable, it's also the most expensive, but the most value one is go out and reach and touch someone. Go out and if you can personally visit your client. Listen, I live in a big city. I'm in Toronto, Canada. But if I'm doing my errands and there's some clients in the circle of what I'm doing, if I'm just doing my errands or I'm visiting one client, I will reach out and I'll just pop in and say, hey, it's Nick. Just popped out of the bushes on you. Okay. I will visit them. I'll shake some hands. I'll drop off a coffee. I'll drop them a Starbucks. And then I might visit the store beside them and the store across the street. Okay. So I multiply my efforts. So do it. Be creative. Okay. Use all social media, all platforms. There's so many different ways, because I've had people that have not answered my text, but then they've answered a WhatsApp right away. I've had people that have never answered my email, but I shoot them a video message. Hey, this is Nick. I just want to put a face to the name to the face. And they answer my video message. Okay. So you never know which one's going to resonate with that client. I've had other clients never respond on Facebook, but I send them a message on LinkedIn and they respond that way. So use everything at your arsenal. And remember, 5 to 12 touches is the key. And if you don't do it, you're starting back at 0 again. So use everything at your disposal. These are the reasons why follow-up doesn't work. These are the mistakes to avoid. So avoid these things and you'll increase your success rate with the follow-up.
Nick, another one I love is voice messaging.
Uh-huh.
You know, you can do voice messaging through many of those platforms that you just mentioned. And I love that.
Absolutely. Love
I
that.
love that. Yes.
And when you get a voice message, Tanya, do you open it?
Yeah.
You listen to it.
Yeah.
When you get a video, if somebody sends you a video, do you have the tendency to watch it just out of
Absolutely.
curiosity?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you another thing I do, Nick, and I know this is crazy, but how many more times do you open a voice message quicker than you listen to a voice mail from a phone call?
Right away. I'm like, what's this? I do it. Like, even that step of having to call my own personal voicemail and punch in my code, sometimes I might do it once a week. But if somebody shoots me a Facebook or a voice message to my cell phone, I listen to it almost right away.
You know, sometimes I get calls and it says spam.
Yeah.
And then I'll let it set in my voicemail. I should not be admitting this, but I am, because it's real. And it'll set in there for 2 or 3 days. And then I'll get one from somebody that I need to listen to, and I'll go ahead and listen to all of them. And then it's a call that I should have listened to. It wasn't really spam at all. It's just that, you know, that the phone or the service marked it as spam. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I should have listened to that call. That was somebody that I needed, or it was a prospect, or it was a client. And then you feel terrible that you've got to admit that you did not listen to that voicemail.
Yeah.
Awful.
You want to do stuff that stands out, right? So like some of the things that I've done, I've sent pizza to a client or to a prospect.
Love that idea. That the missing piece.
I've done that, but I've just sent lunch to a client. I've sent a thank you. I've sent gifts. I've sent tumblers. I've sent Yeti cups. I've sent donuts. I've shown up with donuts. I've sent flowers, because it just sets me apart in the marketplace. And it's a nice touch too. It's like I'm in relationships with these clients, or I want to be like in business with these clients. So, you know, that's the creativity. It takes a little bit of money. It takes commitment. It takes the action to hire it. And I'm not doing it with any intention other than to get back into communication with them or to say thank you, right?
Right.
So
right.
Be creative, guys, and like just take the steps, take the action, do it frequently, do it consistently.
Right. I would love to tell the pizza story, but let's hold it for anticipation to our business boot camp. That one to me is a one that every business owner should take up and start using. I cannot wait to use it.
I agree. That's great. That's a great idea.
It is. It's one that is worth the $397. To me, it's worth that. Okay, so
what do we got? Number 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 6, no clear purpose in the call. Another mistake, as I just said, no clear purpose in the call. The contact, the personal visit, the text, or the you need a reason. I love this, and everybody should start using it. Hey, Nick, the reason I'm calling you today, and then we lead into the reason we're calling them up front instead of saying, hey, Nick, how are you today? They don't care. They don't care about all that fluff at the front. I'm learning this. This was new to me.
Yeah.
But I love the reason I'm calling you today. And my intention on this call is, and get straight to the point, because everybody's busy. And so I want to get them straight into my product. Even if you're going to present to an individual, a small group, or an auditorium full of people, it doesn't matter. Always let them know what your purpose for calling, what that purpose is. Just be honest about your clear purpose. And we all have one for the reason that we're calling.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Always say that's a great point, Tanya.
Yeah. So let me, before we go into number 7, let me just state real quick, Nick, you know how busy we all are. And when you call a business, they're busy too. And when you go on into the fluff, you talk about the kids, you talk about the weather, you talk about COVID, you talk about all that. How many minutes does it add to the call? I think back when I was in corporate, I was so busy, I didn't have time for all of that. And sometimes you let things go to voicemail because you're like, oh, there she is again. You don't have time.
Yeah, so, and if it's not sincere, the people are going to see right through it. If that's not the reason for my call, that's not the reason for the call. The reason, I'm like, a great point, Tanya. The reason for my call is let them know my intention. They might be very interested in that. So I'm going to be upfront. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to have a clear purpose in my call. So those are all great points you touched on. This is another golden rule, guys. Number 7, always, 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 always leave a message. Like always. Even if I'm calling my wife, hey, it's me, babe. I'm leaving a message. I always leave a message. If I don't leave a message, did anything really happen? Even if the person's not going to ever check the voicemail, I'm leaving a message. I'm going to leave a breadcrumb behind. I'm going to leave proof and evidence that I was there. That's a touch. Maybe they did listen to it. Maybe it did work. I always, always, always leave a message. I learned that from Grant over 20 years ago when I started selling cars. It works. Always leave a message. Okay. I'm trying to grow my business, right? Every time I call somebody, I'm going to leave a message. I'm going to do it. Okay. I'm going to visit you down the street. I have a business card. Hey, can you let me know that I just popped in? Who else is here? Who else can I talk to? I'm going to introduce myself to 2 or 3 people. I want their business. I'm going to drop off a card. I'm going to leave a message, evidence that I popped in. Okay. I'm going to mix a few of these together, but another way that you could do follow-up, guys, you could take a video, you could take a selfie video if you're visiting a client in person in front of their desk. Hey guys, this is Nick. I popped in. You're not here today. I just wanted to let you know I popped in. I'm looking forward to meeting with you in the future. Show them that you're at their business. Take a video in front of their company, in front of their storefront. Very powerful. Okay. You want to be the stream, whether you're on the phone, whether you're on video, whether you're on social, any way that you follow up with them, you want to be the stream, not the rock. Okay. So always, always, always leave a message. Okay.
Nick, I
Yes.
had a thought.
Yep.
Let me go back to this. Always leave a message. It just, I shouldn't have even said that because I just went blank. But leaving a message, it just came back to me. So what about when individuals have their phones so full of voicemails, you can't leave one? What does Grant say about that?
Okay, well, if their voice message is so full you can't leave one, do a video, like call a different number, look them up on social, connect with them.
Send a text message.
Yeah, like do a different way. Go visit them if you can. If you can't, send a handwritten letter. If you can't, send something like send a delivery to their office, call their office. Like you have to be creative. You have to find other ways to get in contact with them. So if their voicemail's too full, call them.
And so here's the other thing about that. If you're a business person, if I'm trying to get a hold of Nick to set up a coaching call with him, or I need to do business with him, he's a roofer and I need my roof fixed and I can't get a hold of him, what kind of business person is he if his voicemail is full? He's probably left it full on purpose because he doesn't want to get voicemails. Again, what kind of business owner is he that he's trying to leave me the message that he doesn't want to get voicemails? Maybe he doesn't want the business. What about other people who have never set up their voicemail? Again, they don't want to get messages. What is the purpose for that? If you're a business owner, you need to be able to get messages. If you're in front of Grant and sometimes he'll just say, you know, hey, what's your number? And he's going to try to call our business and see how we answer the phone. And if that happens, look out. You're going to get blasted in front of everybody. Don't let that happen to you. If you want business, I mean, you're trying to get known here and you don't want to be trying to get a hold of, and I'm trying to get a hold of Nick because I need a new roof and I can't get a hold of him. So now when somebody asks me for a referral, I'm going to say, well, don't call Nick because you can't get through to him. Call this person because I can call them 24/7. You know, so you don't want that to happen to you. So if your voicemail is full, get it cleared out. You want to be somebody that people can get a hold of because you will have that reputation. I can promise you that. But if you can't leave a message and you really want to do business with that particular individual, be creative, like Nick says.
Absolutely. So always leave a message. That brings us to number 8, Tanya. So number 8, you want to go for that?
Yeah. So not collecting critical data for future sales. This is a mistake. People who want to make investments make their initial choice and then immediately wonder, did we invest enough? As a consumer, I'm literally thinking to reinforce the first purchase with the second purchase. So as you are doing business with somebody and they're making that first sale, you need to be thinking, okay, how can I reinforce that next sale? How can I be formulating my sentences or my process to collect that next sale? Not collecting critical data and not looking for future sales is a huge mistake that you can make. Always end your calls looking for potential sales, looking for buying cycles and what's next. Critical data, you want to collect it, you want to log it, you want to look for it, and you want to have it. This right here, do you know what this is? This is a box of business cards. Do you know how many of these I have? I have 3 of these full of business cards that I collected from my former corporate job of vendors, customers, people that I collected business cards from. I will always have these. I continue to add to this. Many of these people are in my phone, and I collect these so that I've got referrals. I've got clients that I can call and do business with. And I'm doing business with many of these people in my business today because I am referring them to my clients today. Some of my clients that I'm doing business with today are doing business with some of my former vendors.
That's great.
I'm doing business with some of those, Nick. So
awesome.
You know how that works. You've got to collect that data. You got to log it. You got to look for it. You got to keep it.
Yeah.
So always collect those business cards. Put them in your phone. Put them in your computer. Collect them. Keep them. That's why I keep business cards. I know some people do it the electronic way, but if you don't back up your phone, you're going to lose that. I cannot tell you how many times I've sat in the floor and I've gone through these saying, who do they know that I don't know? So you got to collect data, people. You got to collect data.
Yeah, you got to collect it and you got to have it easily accessible for you, and you want it to be organized. The more organized you are, the better. Whether you use a CRM or it's old-fashioned, collecting it, it's only as good as the data that you enter. Okay.
Absolutely.
Number 9 is not asking for referrals, right? So just know this. You got to ask often, ask early, ask frequently, keep asking for referrals. Okay. The best way to ask is like, who else do you know that could benefit from my product or service? Okay. That's the best way. Okay. So my business depends on doing business with people like you. So, hey, who else do you know that could benefit from using my product or service? It's not going to offend anyone, guys, asking them for that. It's going to provide more value than the price asking for referrals. So don't say, if you know anybody, send them my way. Don't be cheesy. Just say, hey, who else do you know that could benefit from my product or service? Fast, friendly, and easy. Keep it simple, but always ask. And then that brings us to number 10 before we wrap it up.
Yes, not organized to store data. This is one of the biggest mistakes that Grant made in his career.
Yeah, no CRM.
Yeah, he didn't have a CRM. Thankfully, I have a CRM, but he didn't have a CRM, and he wasn't collecting the data to put in his phones. He wasn't committed to keeping the data throughout his entire existence. Here is something huge. Contacts equal contracts. Always keep your data. Always keep it updated. Even if you leave your job. Hey, I did not realize that was going to come back around to me. Even if you leave your job, keep up with your stuff. Keep it updated. Keep it organized. It doesn't matter what you were doing 2 years ago. I had no idea. I thought I was going to die at my previous job. And little did I know I would be doing what I'm doing today. Yeah. Thankfully I am, and thankfully I kept this. And you have no idea what you are going to be doing. So you've got to keep up with your stuff. You've got to have a CRM. You've got to have a way, like Nick said, whether it is organized or unorganized, you've got to have a way to keep your data. So with that, Nick and I really appreciate you being here, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching it by replay. If you do watch it by replay, be sure that you let us know in the comments that you're watching the replay. Let us know what value that you got from watching this training session. We would appreciate that. We hope that you did get some value. And again, if you would like a copy of the ebook from this training session, put ebook in the comments and we'll be happy to get that over to you so that you can have it. This is valuable material. This material will help you in your job going forward, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're a small business owner. You will hear some of this and much greater information at our 10X Business Bootcamp. And Nick, any closing remarks that you have before we end our training today?
That's it, guys. If you want more information, hit the link below. We'd love to see you. Come and see us in person, okay? October 23rd, Fayetteville. October 25th, Little Rock, Arkansas. Look forward to seeing you there in person.
Hey, and Nick, some great news. We're going to be back here tomorrow, the same time, talking about closing.
Absolutely.
Closing deals, closing sales deals. So come back tomorrow at 1 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time.
Absolutely.
For those of you. So we are looking forward to having another great 30 minutes tomorrow. So with that, 10X, I'll try to end with you guys. So 10X, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye.